Chris Roberts here for Fight Up TV. I'm joined by David Haye. How's things?
Not bad. All is well. Just been here at Sky Studios at the cinema watching the Dylan White and Derek Chisora first fight, and everybody had hair standing up on the back of our necks as these guys were going toe to toe, blow for blow. It was an absolute cracker of a fight, and it really got everyone's appetite. You know, everyone got juiced up, ready for the 22nd of December.
How many times have you watched that fight back since
before
today?
I watched it a few times. I realised that, you know, what Dylan did in this fight, he may not do on the 22nd of December. This is 2 years ago, but in essence, he's the same man, and you have habits, you have set patterns of movement that you do every time you fight. And you know, watching it again today, I haven't watched it for a few weeks, but watching it again today on the big screen just emphasised that the stuff that Derek's doing needs to be done. You know, the stuff that he's doing should work nice.
Where do you see sort of Dylan's progression in the last 2 years, particularly? He's fought some decent opponents.
He's shown he's improved his conditioning. His strength and conditioning coach is obviously top notch, as he's there for 12 rounds. He's managing to hold his shape and hold his form together for all of those rounds. I think the only time there's been a little bit of crack in his armour was when he got buzzed heavy in the 12th round against Joseph Parker. But he was able to get up and tie the guy up, and it was only last 30 seconds of the fight.
I think he did well, didn't he? He was thinking, he took a knee.
He took a knee. He wasn't just flailing his arms aimlessly. You know, he still had his wits about him. The legs are a bit gone, but 12 round of a fight against a young guy who used to be world champion. There's no disgrace there. And obviously he'd hit and hurt Joseph Parker with a tremendous left hook. You know, I'd say his left hook is a money punch, and it's a shot that Derek really needs to be aware of. And any fighter that fights Dylan White needs to know that's his money punch.
And obviously, you know, Derek, you know, he's 35. He's just
34,
just about to turn 35. Is that right? So I think towards the end of the month. Obviously, as someone who's sort of, you know, past that age and has fought at that age, it was 2 years ago since they last had this fight. Now that's quite a long time. When you're in your mid-30s, that's the point I'm getting at. How does he approach this fight differently than when he went in the first time?
I wasn't around with him before the first fight. I can only go by what his team said to me, who were working with him on that fight, and they say he's physically is in much better shape. He seems very motivated, and you know, he's eating the right foods. He's getting ample sleep. He's making sure that, you know, his body's as good as it can be. He goes to simple things like stretching and having your post-workout drinks and all the stuff that he might have skipped in the past. You know, doing long drives back home and back to the gym. You know, he trains in one place, 2 minutes away. He stays in a hotel there, so he's back and forth. He's living, you know, training 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a day. You know, going back a month or so, he was really pushing himself. As they're the months. So between week like 10 and week 4, 5, that's where the graft's done. That's where you put in the miles on the road. That's where you put in all the circuits, all the graft. You know, so as it gets closer to the fight, you start fine tuning the technical side of things. And Don Charles is making sure that he's tip top in terms of technically. He's doing the right things, and he's the pattern of movement, the punch variety is correct, and what he does after he punches is a must. So I'm positive that, you know, I've helped assist Derek get the best out of himself.
And a win for either man. Where does that put them?
Well, Eddie Hearn was here on stage with me today, and he said, you know, in an ideal world for Anthony Joshua, who is fighting on April 13th at Wembley Stadium, he said the choice number 1 is Deontay Wilder, because he has the WBC belt. Choice number 2 is Tyson Fury. It looks now that the WBC have ordered an immediate rematch between Wilder and Fury, so that takes them his number 1 and 2 out. So that leaves number 3, which Eddie said was the winner of Chisora White on the 22nd of December. So that's a big carrot for both fighters, and not like it's going to make them fight any harder, but it's a nice little side note that whoever wins this has that potential, huge showdown with arguably the number one heavyweight on the planet.
And what did you make of the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder first fight?
I thought it was great. I thought it was really nice to see two undefeated fighters putting it on the line. It doesn't happen that often, and there was no long build up. There was big talk of Wilder and AJ fighting, then all of a sudden Fury jumped in the mix and said, no, I'll fight you. I'll go over to your hometown and fight you. So he went to America, and he went to Staples Center, and he put on a great performance. He got a draw, a controversial draw, but he gained a lot of fans. He gained a lot of credibility amongst the hardcore fans and the general public alike. They really liked what they saw, what he did in the ring and outside of it. Conduct himself like a true gentleman, and people really, really, really have taken to him.
Is there any elements, David, in your career that you wish you would have that fight where you were pitched against Fury? It didn't happen for numerous reasons. Is there any sort of frustration that didn't happen, and would you have sort of relished in that fight?
At the time, it was frustrating. I got a big cut over my eye like 4 or 5 days before the fight. So I think the last spar I got a big slash across my eye. So whether I wanted to or not, it's nothing I couldn't have fought. And second time I had to have shoulder surgery. So just, I could have fought with one arm, but I would have needed 2 arms to beat Fury for sure.
And I think a fight, everyone in the UK wants to see is definitely the Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua fight. How would you see potentially that fight panning out?
It depends how the fight goes with Wilder, the rematch with Wilder. That's the one that I believe is happening next. If Fury is to beat Wilder, I definitely think you can't get a bigger fight than Fury and Anthony Joshua in the UK. Doesn't get any bigger than that. It will be one of probably, if not the biggest heavyweight extravaganza of all time. It will be absolutely massive. So we've got a little way to go before that one happens. But the heavyweight division's looking the healthiest it's ever done, and I'm just happy to be part of this big one on Saturday week.
I just want to ask you quickly about Kell Brook's performance on the weekend, obviously live on Sky. What did you make of that, and what do you think that kind of does for the future of Kell Brook, the Amir Khan?
I think it's a good thing. I think maybe he held back a little something. Maybe he didn't give everybody everything. I think a fight of him and Amir Khan makes sense. I think it's a huge fight for both of them. I know Amir has other options. It's a good position to be in. To be honest, he understands the big time. He's won multiple world titles over the years, and he's getting to the latter stage of his career now. So he needs to pick his fights wisely. And as a fan, a selfish fan who only cares about what I watch, obviously the All British Clash is I'll be swaying towards. But for Amir Khan, he might want to go into that pay-per-view. Sorry,
it's more the American side which he's trying to tap into.
But Amir's always been focused a lot on the American side of things. He spends a lot of his time in America, and he gives a lot of credibility to the pound-for-pound list. He's always been knocking on the door for Manny Pacquiao or Floyd Mayweather. He wants like the biggest fights out there, So he wants one of those big fights. So if he can't get the Kell Brook fight, if he doesn't want the fight, he's got options. So as a fan, I'd love him to get it on with the Brit, but he does what's best for him in his career.
Did you find that, David, yourself, in terms of like the mental aspect of going into fights, particularly in the later part of your career, that you needed, a big fight, you needed something to get the juices flowing, you needed something to motivate you? Did you, similar to kind of what we're saying with Kell Brook, and maybe that's why he sort of wasn't, at the races on Saturday?
Yeah, I definitely think the better opposition. For instance, if you put Amir Khan in as someone who's fringe level, like the last guy he fought, he had a similar type of performance than Kell Brook did. They both need world, like elite level fighters to make them raise their game. And for most of that fight against Canelo, Amir was winning. He was picking with a jab. Seemed like he was controlling it. He got caught. Same thing with Kell Brook and Triple G. For early rounds, he was hitting them with loads of shots. Obviously, but they were just too small. They were just too small to fight the big guys. So they need that big challenge to bring the best out of themselves. They need to feel that little bit of fear. And I think maybe only them together can bring the fear out of each other, to make them both fight at a higher level. Because I definitely think fighting sort of mediocre opposition at this stage of their careers, at their, they need the big fights, the fights that really matter. And hopefully they can get it on. But if not, the world of boxing will keep spinning.
Well, it's an exciting future, that's for sure. Well, listen, David, thanks for talking to Fight Up TV.
No problem.
Appreciate your time. Good
You
luck.
too.
And take it easy.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Cheers.